Hi, everyone. Welcome back to In the Kitchen with Gracie and Amy. Is that right? Or is your name, is my name going first? I can't even remember.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, so today we have quite a bit of sauces for everyone. We decided to do some more cooking in our show than just desserts and than just cookies. So today we are featuring a marinara sauce, the way my Nona made it, a red pepper sauce, the way my mom's aunt made it, and a bechamel sauce, the way my sister's exchange student made it. My sister was an exchange student in Italy in her high school years. And the student, Michaela, is that her name? Michaela, I've forgotten. I was already in college when Michaela came to stay. So Michaela taught my mom how to make a bechamel sauce. So it will be a very interesting show. I hope everyone's going to be excited about it. We're going to do it in 3 segments. We'll do tomato sauce, the marinara sauce first, and then we will do the red pepper sauce, roasted red pepper sauce, and then we'll do the bechamel sauce. So take it away, Mom.
Okay. All right. This sauce that we're making first is a very simple tomato marinara sauce. My mom used this sauce for anything that was quick. When she wanted something very fast and she wanted to make, her pasta just with simple sauce, not your Sunday, meatballs and sausage and pork sauce, but this is just a simple sauce. So we'll begin. So the things that we need in this simple sauce are an onion, a medium onion, a can of you'll see the recipe later, of crushed tomatoes, and olive oil, and salt and pepper to taste. That is basically the recipe for this sauce. There is no garlic in this sauce that my mother made. Okay, many people have asked the question, why don't you put garlic in the sauce? All I know is that when my mother taught me how to make this sauce, she always said, don't put garlic in there because it kind of overpowers the sauce and you will not taste the sweetness of the onion.
Right.
So that's really basically all I know. And I will tell you, I use this recipe even when I'm doing my sauce with meatballs.
Right.
For some reason, it does bring out this sweetness to the sauce. I don't know what it does, but it must be the onions, because the way you cook it, it becomes sweeter. So let us proceed. Okay, Amy. First, we need an onion. We need it chopped.
So what I have, because I have always hated onions. Not hated onions to eat, hated onions to chop. So a long time ago, probably I would say 2002, 2003, I was at a Pampered Chef party, and they showed a way to chop onions without tears, because my eyes are very sensitive to any smell. So it's a food chopper, and it is the best invention I've ever seen in my entire life. So this food chopper is awesome. What you do is, once I put it back together, I wouldn't suggest putting the entire onion, but I usually cut my onion in half, and I cut it in a couple pieces because it is a smaller surface that you're working with for chopping. And I usually put the onion in, I turn it upside down, put the bottom, and you don't really need a cutting board to chop, and you just need a surface. So you just start pushing down the handle. And you can go as fast or as slow as you want to, and it chops the onion perfectly. And it gets all your frustration out too. So, if you've had a long day and you just want to chop a lot of onions, get your frustration out, go right ahead. And then I also have the skinny scraper to get the rest of the onion out. Sometimes you'll get strands, you know, stray pieces that didn't chop. You can just put them back in there and chop. Okay, so let me just get this most of the way out. You may not be able to get all of it out of here, but it's just a tiny bit that's left.
And that's okay too, because once it goes into the frying pan, it will become very soft, and it will become, and you'll be able to mushy. You will be able to mush it, and you won't even know that this is what you did when you chopped it.
Right. So let me just put this in the sink. And we'll come over here to the stove. Okay. So can you see everything okay, Mom? Because if you can see it all okay, then our audience will see okay. Okay, so what's next?
Okay. Now this what you do is you take your olive oil and you put that in the pan.
So I usually just drizzle it in, but for anybody measuring,
at least a couple tablespoonful of olive oil.
So another trick that I've developed over the years, you can use the cap. That's about half a tablespoon right there, the cap. So if you wanted to use the cap to measure, you can do that. That's about a tablespoon right there. And we'll put another tablespoon.
When you do this, you will be having a cold pot. You will put the olive oil in, and then you will put the onions in, and then you will turn on the heat. Till you put the heat on high, and you let the whole thing come up to getting hot. Then you're going to turn it down to a medium heat, and you're going to cook the onions low and slow.
Okay, so I'm gonna put so I haven't turned on the heat yet. I'm gonna put my onions in.
Right.
I love these Pampered Chef prep bowls. They're awesome. So I'm just gonna get my oil or get my onions situated. Now I'm gonna put it on.
Put it on high.
Medium high?
No, put it on high.
Oh, high, yes. Gotcha. Okay.
You let it get hot, and you'll hear the sizzling. You should hear the sizzling, okay? Once you hear the sizzling of the onions, because you don't want it to burn, then turn it down to a medium heat and let it start to cook. It should take about 5 to 7 minutes where you'll see it start to becoming translucent. Sometimes it'll take more, time. It depends on how many onions, like how much you have in the pot, and if the pot is big or if it's small. If it's smaller and you got a lot of onions, you're gonna take more time.
Gotcha.
Basically, this is what you have to do to begin the process of cooking this marinara sauce.
Well, we can take a quick break and wait till it's cooking.
Yes.
And we'll come back and show you what the onions look like.
Yes.
Okay, so now they're ready. I'm going to have to tip this to show you guys how it is quite translucent. My mom was just telling me on our break that you can push, if you guys can see this, if you can take your spoon and push down and they start to break apart and get mushy, then you know that your onions are ready to go. If they're still raw, then you want to keep cooking them. The other thing you could do is just taste it. You know, you can definitely taste the difference between a cooked onion and a raw onion. So, okay, so next.
Next, take your sauce,
Okay.
place it in the pot.
So I'm using the Wegmans. Shoot. Wegmans. Joys of cooking.
Okay, and also too, you're gonna need some water. So what I do usually is I take about the can, I do a half a can of water, and then I clean it all out, all of the residue that's in the can. I swish it around and I get all that sauce out of there by putting a half a can of water in.
Well, the great thing, I mean, I totally support you in that, but this scraper from Pampered Chef gets out a lot more sauce, because I've noticed that with a full can, you end up putting more water in it. So I'm just going to scrape out more.
Right. Well, you only need a half a can of water for that.
Right.
Sauce.
So you don't want to put in too much water.
No. Mm-mm.
So I usually scrape it out with the scraper, and it's great. The scraper cleans it out, and then I can just get the rest of it. Oops. Yeah. Ah, hold on. See? Mistakes will happen. Okay, now we can stir our onions into our sauce. What's the usual heat? Is it medium or is it lower?
Now, okay, so after you stir it for a bit. Now you're going to turn it back up. I wouldn't go fully high, but maybe, I don't know. You have numbers on there. Probably like, usually I can turn mine up to like a 7. When I'm doing this, because what you want to do is this has to come to a boil.
Okay.
So you need the higher heat, or you're going to be there all day.
Gotcha. Okay.
And once it comes to a boil, and you're going to have to stir because you don't want to burn it. This is going to boil for about 5 minutes, because you want the sauce, the tomatoes, and the onions to marry together and cook, so that you have a cooked product.
Okay. Well, while we're waiting for the sauce, you can let everyone know what Noni used to use for tomatoes.
Oh, yes. Oh, this is now, whenever so number one, she always canned her tomatoes, okay? And that's, excuse me, she always canned them, and that's what she would use when she made tomato sauce. But when all of her canned tomatoes were gone, which always ended up to be gone probably around mid-May, about mid-May, then of course she would have to start using canned tomatoes from the store. And I distinctly remember she used to want me to go to buy several cans, sometimes a case. And the ones that she used were called Fermano crushed tomatoes. And they were expensive even at that time. That was early in my youth. And so she would say, "Oh, get me a couple of cans of crushed Fermano tomatoes." And I remember one time they were on sale, or maybe several times. They were like cheap, and she would say, "Oh, I just noticed in the paper they're cheap this week." Okay. So she always used Fermano crushed tomatoes. Now, I don't even know if Fermano's is in business anymore. I have no clue. But here where I live now, I use Wegmans, either Wegmans crushed tomatoes, or I buy the organic Wegmans crushed tomatoes. And I will tell you one thing: the organic crushed tomatoes of Wegmans is absolutely delicious. You can eat that sauce right out of the can. I'm telling you, I've never tasted something so sweet as the Wegmans organic tomatoes. Now, I had an aunt who always bought, because I guess she liked it, Red Pack was a very good tomato, and I have bought it, and it's really very tasty. So those are the couple of kinds of tomatoes, crushed tomatoes, that my mother used, my aunt used, and I use. Um, of course, you if you can tomatoes, you can use your canned tomato sauce.
I mean, if you can't find those name brands, you're looking for tomatoes that are on the sweeter, the sweeter side. Then you are looking, you don't want to buy anything seasoned. You want to buy all plain.
Exactly, all plain, not seasoned. Exactly. Now, if you absolutely cannot find a plain crushed tomatoes and all they have is seasoned, well, that's okay. I mean, that's fine. As long as you don't that will probably have garlic in it. So that's something that you cannot remove from the crushed tomatoes. And it's fine if you want to use that. That's perfectly fine. I'm just going by what I learned as a young person, how to make a quick marinara sauce.
You could also just buy fresh tomatoes and blend them up or crush them.
Yes.
If you just can't find cans that are not seasoned.
Yes.
I've done it. I love it. We grow tomatoes in our garden, and I use it all the time.
The best tomatoes, if you're going to be in the store and you can't find tomatoes, the best ones to use is called the Roma tomato, because they are the meatiest and they have less seeds in it. Is the Roma tomato. And those, yes, of course you could, and making a fresh tomato sauce, and then like you say, blend it up, throw it in the pot, and there you have a nice tomato sauce. Exactly. Same thing. You know what else you can do too? If you cannot find crushed tomatoes, you can get whole peeled tomatoes that are in a can. And then what you do is you blend them up the same way as if you bought fresh tomatoes. You just put it in the blender, you blend them up, and there you go. So really, you have a lot of options in making this fresh tomato, this marinara sauce.
Okay, so this I've noticed is starting to boil.
Okay.
And I turned the heat down a little bit lower because when I touched it when I stirred it with the spoon, I noticed that maybe because I've been cooking for so long, and Mom can attest to this too, that you can feel it kind of stick to the bottom. So if it's sticking to the bottom, you are burning your sauce.
Yes.
So you have to make sure that you're
very good point, Amy.
keeping that heat, low enough that it's not going to burn, but high enough that it's going to get it to boil. But also stirring and moving the sauce on the bottom up to the top, so it's not burning the sauce.
And the time that you have to do this is in this 5-minute boil. You should be stirring at all times during the 5-minute boil, because you don't want, like Amy said, for it to burn, because it will burn. Tomato sauce has the sweetness in it, has sugars in it, and it inevitably will always burn if you're not stirring it. Once you are done with the 5-minute boil, then you will turn it down to simmer. You will turn it down to the lowest you can, and you will put a cover on it if you want to. If you put a cover on it, the water will not escape out of it, so it will just simmer. If you want your sauce to be really thick, which I personally don't like it really thick, then leave the cover off while it's simmering. And you only have to stir every but maybe 5 or 10 minutes. And this is going to go anywhere between 10 to 20 minutes to get yourself a nice cooked marinara sauce. And you 10 to 20 minutes is on simmer, the very lowest you can go.
Now, if you're feeling adventurous and you don't want to sit over here, sit at the stove, you can use the Instant Pot or pressure cooker. The reason I bring this up is because my mom bought me a pressure cooker several years ago, and I said to her, I will never use this. Are you crazy? She's like, oh, just try it. My sister had bought one for herself and then bought one for my mom. My sister, was like, Mom, you got to try this. And I was like, oh my gosh. Well, I've used my Instant Pot so much that I had to have it replaced because it broke because I used it so much. So I've learned that you can do this. I mean, this is the traditional way that my Nona, my mom's mother, made the sauce. But I did see that you can do, it's not perfect, but it's very similar in the Instant Pot. Because this is okay for this show, but I would not sit here and stir the sauce. My mom's much more patient than I am to sit here and stir the sauce.
The only difference, which I have done it in the Instant Pot, the only difference is your sauce will not thicken like it does on the stove, because in the Instant Pot, you're basically steaming. I mean, that's what it boils down to. It's
Right.
a steaming result rather than a cooked, where the water evaporates. That's the only difference. But I will tell you honestly, I like putting it in the Instant Pot because then I can go around and do other work, and I can boil my pasta. I can clean up the kitchen and do other things. So the Instant Pot is always great when you are in a hurry.
Yes. So, I mean, it's really up to you, the audience that are watching this, whether you, want to sit here and do this for 20 minutes, making sure you still want to make sure, though, that you are checking in on it, even if you're simmering it, because there's always a chance that it can, even at simmer, you can burn your sauce. You just want to make sure that you're not letting it stick to the bottom. But you don't have to be stirring it constantly for the entire time. But if you want to do the Instant Pot, go for it. Try it. Let us know how it goes for you. So we're not going to sit here for the entire time to cook this. I'm going to show you. I think I can get this. This is what it looks like currently. It will get a little bit thicker as time goes on. But that's the sauce. That is how we cook a quicker, the quick sauce. This is not our Sunday sauce. This is not the one that my Nona would put on the stove and simmer all day long, or put her meatballs or her sausage or any of the other meats. This is the quicker sauce that you can use. You can prepare it, put it in the refrigerator, have it. You
can freeze it.
Freeze it. Exactly. Yeah.
So
this is great.
Great sauce, and it's so versatile. You put it on anything, on pasta, on chicken, on beef, on anything you want. That little sauce taste. It's perfect for eggplant parmesan. It is a great quick sauce.
Exactly. So we are going to stop this segment, and we'll come back and show you the roasted red pepper sauce. Thank you.